band exercise, starting with quadriceps. Set up a chair right in front of your low anchored resistance bands and put the bands right in between the legs, and then hook up on each ankle, shin. And the first one I'm doing is an alternating leg knee extension. This is great for your quadriceps. Notice I'm anchoring my torso and my arms against the chair so my torso doesn't move too much. Keep my abs engaged and slightly contracted so my pelvis can stay pretty stable. Now I'm going to do a double leg knee extension. Exhale as I lift and inhale as I lower. The last one I'm doing is fully extended and then alternating negative leg extensions. So one leg stays stiff and strong while the other one goes down, alternating. By the end of this tri-set, your leg should be pretty tired and burning a little bit. Okay, next one is going to be resistance band seated leg curl for your hamstrings. Make sure the cable resistance band is connected to your ankles, shin pretty securely before you sit down. Then the first one is a regular curl, alternating first, starting from an extended position. Same thing as before. Make sure you anchor your torso and your arms against the chair so your torso is nice and stable, and your pelvis can be also stable. Exhale as you curl, inhale as you lift. Now I'm going to do a double leg curl. And finally, I'm going to do an alternating negative leg curl, starting with the knees bent and then alternating, letting one go up slowly at a time. This is also another tri-set for your hamstrings. 3 variations of the similar exercise in a row. And step forward, always detach your resistance bands after the resistance bands are loosened. Don't try to take it off while it's still stiff and tight. Okay, now I'm going to connect it again and do resistance band hip adduction for your inner thighs. Keeping your stationary leg straight, your torso stationary as you can, and the moving leg with the feet and your knees is pointed straight ahead. Exhale as you pull in, inhale as you go out. Trying to keep your pelvis also stationary. Don't let your hips go out and in too much. Just the leg that's moving. Turn around and do the same thing for the opposite side. Exhale in. Inhale out. Since you're working the adductors of your inner thigh leg muscles. nice and smooth. Try not to go too fast. All right. So make sure you keep your back fairly straight as you take off and put on the Velcro straps on your ankles. Don't want to hurt your back when you're leaning forward, so we'll try to keep it straight as you can. So this exercise is going to be for your outer thighs, your leg abductor, hip abductors. So keeping your torso nice and straight, pelvis stationary, bringing your legs outwards and inwards, also keeping your knee and your foot pointed straight forward if you can, holding your abs slightly tight, keeping engaged so you can keep your torso and your pelvis stationary. The supporting stationary leg is almost totally straight, slight bend, your knee, soft knee is fine, and the moving leg is also pretty straight. Do the same thing on the opposite side. You can put your hand on your pelvis to make sure the pelvis is not moving too much. Go nice and slow. Exhale as you bring it out. Inhale as you go in. Working the abductor hip muscles. Okay, so this is an exercise for your glutes, a hip extension. Bring your leg straight back. Hold your torso stationary, pelvis stationary, supporting leg almost totally straight. You can keep your foot and knee either pointed straight forward or very slightly outwards. This works your gluteus maximus muscle, the big butt muscle right behind on your posterior. Exhale as you bring backwards, and inhale as you go forwards. Go slow and steady. Same thing for the opposite leg. Make sure you keep your counts either counting in your head or out loud so you can make sure you do even or the same amount of number of repetitions for both legs. Exhale back, inhale forwards. Do as many as you like until your muscle feels a slight burn. And then relax for a few seconds before you do your next exercise or your next set. So this is a seated resistance band pull down for your lats, lower middle back, a little bit of your biceps and rear delts. Oh, here I'm turning my wrist and forearm as I pull down. You don't have to. You could just keep it a parallel grip from the top to the bottom with the palms facing each other. I do it with my palms facing forward and the top, and I turn it inwards as I pull it down. So many ways to do it. Exhale down, inhale up. Allow my shoulders to elevate a little bit as I bring my arms up, and depress and retract slightly as I pull my arms down and back a little bit. Exhale down, inhale up slowly. Try to keep your feet on the ground flat, your legs stationary. The only thing that should be moving is your arm and your upper torso slightly. So this is an assisted reverse lunge. I use the resistance bands to hold on to help with my balance, and it actually pulls you forward and upwards a little bit as you go down and back with your legs. So I'm alternating here. You could also do the same leg for all 10 repetitions. I'm doing 10 on each leg but alternating, so 20 repetitions total. Inhale down, exhale up. So the more resistance you use on the bands for this exercise, the easier to exercise. The less resistance for this exercise, the harder. This is a squat, also with the resistance bands to assist in pulling you upwards and helping you with your balance. So these resistance band leg exercises are for intermediate, and beginners, since they're helping you go upwards instead of resisting you. They're actually assisting you. Inhale down, exhale up. In top position, you could keep your legs either totally straight or your knees slightly bent, up to you. If you're holding a very heavy weight when you're doing this and have a lot of resistance, then you always should keep your knee and your hips slightly bent at the top. But in this case, you don't. And now you're doing a decline chest press. This one I'm doing with the cable resistance band outside my arms. I'm going at an angle where the cables are not pressing against my arms too much. If you bring your arms too close together, then they'll start pressing against your arms a lot. So pick an angle that's slightly wider than your shoulder and you press down so the cable and the resistance band doesn't rub against your arms too much. Exhale as you press down, inhale as you go up. I'm standing in a staggered stance with one of my foot forward and one of my feet back, just to help stabilize my torso in the same position so it doesn't rock back and forth as much. Just pushing down and forward. I'm leaning my torso slightly forward to get the angle for my lower pectoralis chest muscle a little bit more than my lats. If I stood straight, I would start using my lats a lot more. So you can do as many sets as you like. Preferably between 2 and 4 sets is good. For the third set over here, I did a slightly different grip and I bring the cable inside my arms instead of outside, and my palms are facing upwards. Anytime you change the position of your hands and your arms and your elbows slightly, it makes you work slightly differently. It's good to vary and change your positions once in a while. The variations in each exercise makes you work slightly different parts of your muscle. This is an interesting exercise. This works your rear deltoids and your external rotator cuff muscles. These are great for people who throw balls or use the back of your shoulders a lot. People who are baseball players, pitchers, football, quarterbacks, or anybody who throws things a lot can injure their external rotator cuff muscle pretty easily if you try to throw extremely quickly. So this helps you strengthen your external rotator cuff muscles and shoulder muscles around it, your rear deltoids, your upper and mid trapezius muscles. Exhale as you pull down and rotate your shoulders back. Inhale as you go forward. Try to keep your torso fairly stable, your legs stable and your foot flat on the ground. I'm trying to keep my spine neutral and just move my shoulder and my arms. Nice and steady. Make sure you're picking a fairly light weight and do the exercise correctly. This is a single arm tricep resistance band extension. Works the back of the arm. This is using both handles, doubling up the resistance band. I like this exercise a lot. It works your triceps really well. Firms up the back of your arms. When you go up, you just need to go up to approximately 90 degrees and then come back down to your arms are straight. You can also keep your arms, elbows slightly bent in the bottom, but don't hyperextend when you go down. Keep the muscle engaged. Exhale down, inhale up, nice and slow. Here I'm supersetting, going into a kneeling single arm curl. This is a high curl. I'm using the opposite arm hand underneath the tricep just to hold the upper arm stationary as I'm doing these curls, high curls. These are similar to doing preacher curls, where the pad is underneath your arm and you're just moving your forearms. So it prevents you from cheating with your torso swaying back and forth or your arm swaying back and forth too much. So your torso and your upper arm stays as stationary as you can, which causes your biceps to do the majority of the work in this exercise. Try to keep the form throughout the set, and as you finish, get out of the position slowly. Try to do each set and each repetition as strictly and as well as you can with good form. The better the form, the more benefit you get from the exercise. Exhale down, inhale up. I do a lot of repetitions today because I'm working more on endurance these days than I used to. When I was younger, I used to focus on strength and size, but now that I'm going into my middle ages, I like to work on aesthetics, stamina, posture more, instead of just brute strength or size. It's also safer. I used to get a lot more stiff joints and injuries when I was younger because I try to move as fast as I can and lift as heavy as I can. But now I learned from my mistakes and I'm using more moderate rates most of the time. Occasionally I'll do heavy sets, but not too often, just to keep my muscles safe from injury. Each exercise is very important for developing not just your muscular size and shape, but it's also important for your posture, your endurance, and your cardiovascular health. Even though a lot of people think aerobics, jogging, is the only way to increase your heart health, when you're doing resistance exercises with bands, your own body weight, or with plates and machines, you're also working your heart and lungs a lot. So you're actually getting a cardiovascular benefit from resistance exercises, as well as building your muscular strength, stamina, and your bone density. So for people who want to gain muscle and get leaner and stay fit and healthy for long term, even into their 80s, 90s, and if you're lucky enough into your hundreds. Resistance exercise with the band, your own body weight. It's very important to keep in shape so you can stay functional. Climbing up hills, walking down stairs, lifting objects, heavy objects from the floor, anything like that, all requires muscular strength, good bone density. So doing resistance exercises regularly, at least once to 3 times per week, is important to maintain and even increase your muscle mass and your bone density. Plus all the other health benefits you get from doing exercises, like reducing your risk of heart disease and cancer and stroke and diabetes, or benefits from exercising regularly. If you had to buy pills to get all these benefits that exercise regularly gives you, that pill would probably cost you thousands and thousands of dollars every month. So exercise regularly, very important. This is a overhead tricep extension, also for your arms, for the back of the arm. This variation is interesting, a little bit different from the press down extension where your arm is down. A little bit harder to hold the position since the cable is pulling you backwards, so you need to lean slightly forward and keep your ab core stable and tight, engaged, so you don't move your upper torso too much. Focus on using your arm. Keep your elbow also fairly stationary. Just move your forearms mostly. Exhale forward, inhale back. Always start with the light weight and do the exercise correctly before you start trying to lift as heavy as you can. Doing heavier and heavier and doing the form incorrectly is not going to help you too much. It might even make you worse because it's going to get you injured. So make sure you do it light, get the form proper, try to feel the muscle work. Do between 8 and 12 repetitions at least. If it's super light, you can do a lot more repetitions. I'm doing medium to light weights today, so I'm doing like 20 repetitions or more for a lot of these exercises. But on days that are heavier, you could do only 6 to 12 repetitions. That's also fine. On the days you're working on endurance and stamina, you could increase it to 12 to 25 repetitions each set. Here is just a standard bicep curl with the palms facing upwards. I anchored it on the bottom of the door. That way I don't have to step on it. Don't have to worry about the band snapping up if I lift my foot. So you can do it either way. Since I do have an anchor for the door, I used it today. And finally, another set of curls to finish off my workout today. Legs, shoulders, and arms. A little bit of the back and the chest also. So, good workout. Got nice and sweaty towards the end. Work up an appetite. Now I could feel great eating whatever I like. Have a great day.